Hi, this is Paul Kinkowski with the Systems Conference. I'm here with Andy Shinn from EZ Repair Hotline, and I've known Andy for many years, and he does an amazing job. His company's based out of Las Vegas, and Andy, can you just tell us a little brief overview of what your company does?
Yeah, Paul, EZ Repair coordinates maintenance and takes after-hour emergency maintenance calls for property management companies. So what we do is we take the intake from your tenant, we figure out, is this an emergency or not? If it's an emergency, we're getting on the phone with your vendor, making sure they get out there, get the problem situated, and keeping in touch with the tenant that whole time. And depending on your product level, if it's not an emergency, we may handle those for you as well. So we can be just your after hours, or we can be your full-on maintenance coordinator.
And I worked with Andy for over a year back when I was running Temecula branch. So I personal experience of the good service, everything they did, and how they made our life easier.
Thank you.
I started working with you when I joined Pure, correct, Andy?
That's right.
And why'd you become a sponsor of the Systems Conference?
Well, we came the first time a few years ago, Paul, and at that time, we probably didn't know what we were getting into, and it was just an opportunity to connect with property managers. But when we got to the conference, we realized this was something more than that. We did connect with property managers, but we also learned a lot about what was going on from a technology front, not just in the property management industry, but some other things as well. And we really took a lot out of that first conference. So we were all in from then, and we'll be at every one. It's just been amazing because each year we learned something that we're able to implement into our operation. So it's great to connect with property managers, and we've met some customers there, and that's fantastic. But the bigger impact for us has just been what we've been able to learn and how we've been able to better our organization. We're so much more automated and systematized than we were when we came to that first conference.
So 3 years ago, you were at the event as a vendor. You were in a room with Wolfgang Krosky, and you ended up zapping a bunch of your systems and processes while you were at the event and changing stuff. So when you got back to your house, you had different things for your company. Is that correct?
That's right. So we sort of knew what Zapier was, but we didn't really know how to use it. We got to that conference, we were able to work with Wolfgang and others on how we could implement Zapier. I think, the first project was sort of on our sales and CRM side and doing some follow-ups, and that was great. But once we sort of figured out how to use it in our operation and improve the service that we were providing, that's when it really took off. So yeah, we did some things at first conference, and then the next one, when AI came into the picture and we were able to build some things with Zapier that integrated some of the AI tools, that really took us to the next level. And we sort of built our operation now around how can we do more automation, because it's not just about workflow efficiency, which it certainly is about that, but it's also about consistency. It's about speed of delivery. How can we get a communication back to a tenant as quickly as possible without having to wait for a human to review that and get in there and do something? Well, right now, Paul, we're able to send out troubleshooting immediately. That's totally AI based. We used to do stuff like you had the templates, right? And you copy and paste the template, but the troubleshooting was never quite exact to what the issue was, because they had a plumbing issue, but it was different than, your template. Now we're able to totally customize those real time right away and get those to the tenant immediately, so that by the time my dispatcher comes in, the tenant's already tried the troubleshooting. The dispatcher's ready to roll. So it's just helped our workflow so much. And every time we go to the conference, we learn something new about how to do that.
And that saves the owner money and the property management company money, because the property management company doesn't send someone out that doesn't need to be there. The owner saves money because a lot of times the tenant will handle it. And if the property manager does send someone out there for, like, let's say all they need to do is turn the key of the garbage disposal, then the tenant's going to be charged on it because they've had multiple times in videos and things that has explained how to get the job done. Is that correct?
That is correct. And in some cases, like that garbage disposal, we're not even going to dispatch until we confirm they tried it, because we know there's a high likelihood of success. Garage door opener issues are very high percentage success on troubleshooting. Garbage disposal issues, dishwasher issues, really good opportunity for us to troubleshoot. But what'll happen is, in the old days, the dispatcher goes in there and they're the first ones to see what's happening, and they need to get a troubleshooting template out to the tenant, and they do that, and then they've got to put that on like a queue to follow up with the tenant. What we can do now is get that process started before the dispatcher even sees it. So when the dispatcher comes in the first time, a lot of the times it's already done. Either the issue's been resolved or the tenant tried and weren't able to troubleshoot it. Now the dispatcher can go to work and get the vendor out. So it's saving them a whole step. It's speeding up the process for us and for the tenant, which obviously makes everybody really happy.
Yeah, now that I have 2 kids at rental age, I'm amazed at like the questions my kids will have that their friends have, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, no one understands. I mean, yes, some will just YouTube it and look it up, but it's amazing what easy solutions people don't understand. And they're like, they might think that they don't understand that if the power's not working in 3 different rooms, but it's the rest of the house, they think that they're just having some electrical issue when all they've done is need to just reset. I mean, it's just like, either resetting at the box or resetting on the one of the plugs. I mean, really simple things people don't understand, it seems like.
Yeah, and if you send somebody out, like you said, you're going to have an owner who's really upset because now they've got a trip charge on something that the tenant should have been able to resolve. So that troubleshooting is really critical. By the way, when it comes to systems too, this is kind of from the last conference we were at, when we took troubleshooting. We felt like we had the largest troubleshooting database in the industry, and we had all the tools for our team to use, and we had videos and everything else. And we said, okay, we're going to use AI to figure out exactly what the issue is, because sometimes the category is plumbing, right, on the software, but that doesn't tell you much. So we're going to use AI to read and figure out exactly what the issue is, and we're going to grab the right template and send it to the tenant. But what we figured out in that process was our templates, I don't want to say they were useless, but they weren't needed anymore, because the AI actually has all of that stuff in its brain, and we're able to pull from that. So what we were able to do is connect our AI with the templates that we have and all the videos we have, and now have the AI actually put together a whole troubleshooting script that's not a template at all. It's very specific to the issue that comes in, and grab a video. If it likes a video, it can grab one of our videos and say, okay, well, we're going to include this, and send that whole troubleshooting document to the tenant, which, by the way, will never be the same exact message twice. So it's very specific to their issue, because maybe it's the garbage disposal, but they already tried the reset button, but they don't realize you can also crank a disposal. So the AI is going to say, hey, thanks for trying to reset, but let's try and crank that disposal and see if we can unjam whatever's in there. So it's been very specific. So we thought AI would just help us categorize the issues, but it's actually helped us solve these problems. It's been really robust, and that's something we really took off at the last system conference we were at.
Well, if you're not using AI, I mean, there's so many uses for it, and we will have a lot on growth, and we will always have a lot on AI, and things that you can use are new. I just learned something new this weekend when my daughter was up to visit. She's vegetarian, and she shops at Trader Joe's in college, and she said, meal prep me, I'm a vegetarian 1 week, and I want to buy all my items at Trader Joe's, and let me know the pricing and everything else and what I need to get. And AI did all the research for her, gave her a shopping list, and gave her what she was going to eat for the week. And then she could look at it and say, I don't like Tuesdays, this, change it to this. She could go buy the groceries and meal prep for the week. So it's just amazing the different things that our tenants are doing. My daughter is a tenant. I mean, she's a 21-year-old college student. These are the type of people we're going to have as our tenants. They know AI. They're used to being able to get this stuff done. It's a lot of times us older property managers who are, we need to have that personal connection with a person. Well, a 21-year-old, a 30-year-old, they want the problem resolved. They do not want to spend time on the phone with you if they don't have to. If you can send them a video and get it resolved right away and they can get it done, I find that's more efficient than spending someone talking to them on the phone. You might need that if they still doesn't get resolved, but getting it resolved, instantaneously and quick, that's what they're looking for, correct?
That's right. And not just the younger crowd. Everybody's looking for that, because if you can get them, like you said, a quick video, or sometimes it's just a couple of quick bullet points. The GFIs are funny because people don't realize that button controls several outlets. So they're like, no, the outlet that's not working doesn't have one of those. And it's just a real quick explanation that, oh no, any outlet in the kitchen might be affecting that outlet. And they're like, oh, okay. And you can do that by texting or emailing or through the work order software. And nobody's necessarily trying to get on a phone call with you to go over something simple like that. So you'd be surprised how many people are just looking for that quick solution. And then if it is something where we want to talk them through, or they want to be talked through an issue, yeah, we get on the phone and can do that. But yeah, 80% of the issues, people are just very happy to get a quick solution by email or text.
I still don't understand how some of these builders build houses. Like, I have a GFI in my garage that takes out my bathroom on the second floor upstairs. I'm like, how can the garage GFI affect the bathroom and one other thing? But somehow they're connected, and the garage one is inside a cabinet, hidden, and very hard to find. But eventually I found it. I started, problem solving that, oh, this room didn't have the GFI, that doesn't work, and this room doesn't. But eventually, you're either going to pay a couple $100 to have a electrician find it, or you find it yourself.
Yeah, and it can affect a lot of things, because it might be the dishwasher's not working. You don't realize the way they've set it up, it's actually being impacted by the breakers or GFI, and you don't want to send an appliance vendor out there because, and that's something that the AI tool can identify and get that information immediately out to the tenant. And again, by the time, in our case, the dispatcher, or in somebody else's case, the property manager, by the time they get with the tenant's already tried whatever was asked of them, and now we can move on to, okay, let's solve the problem if they weren't able to self-resolve. It just speeds things up, and it makes things really, really convenient for the tenant, because the tenant doesn't want to go back and forth with something, right? So if you can get them the information right away, and now they've either resolved it or not, now we get a vendor out, that's a wow experience for the tenant.
So your company, first off, handles after-hour calls, but you also will do all-day calls. Like you'll be a repair hotline 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, correct? You'll do
calls and online work orders as well. So let's say that you get that package with us, and the tenant puts in an online work order. That request comes into our software. We're using AI to read that request. In some cases, they actually log back into your software if we need additional details, all automated. And then we're grabbing that, building a work order in our software, and then we're taking that work order through a whole litany of steps, like what's the troubleshooting that needs to go back to the tenant? What category is this? What's the vendor that's going to be most appropriate based on this client's vendor list? And we're going to do all of that. And then we're going to shoot back, and this is all happening in seconds, right? Then we're going to shoot back a message to the tenant to say, hey, have you tried, thanks for the work order. Have you tried these steps, or can you try these steps and let us know if these help the situation? And that's happening in a few minutes. So from the tenant's perspective, they're getting an immediate response. And by the way, I mean, obviously at some point, people know that you're using AI at some steps, but that initial step, nobody has any idea that you're using AI. You're just sending them a very friendly note back that says, hey, thanks for letting us know about the disposal. Can you try a couple things? Let me know if they work. Now you've got that immediate communication that seems very human to the tenant. And then when they reply, now a human's jumping into that reply conversation. And, but you're getting the conversation started, and you're getting them that video link right away, immediately.
That's great. Yep. No, I know that, this is something that having 24-hour maintenance care, having that, the number one reason that tenants leave a property is pricing. Number two reason is maintenance. Sometimes years ago, before pricing was going up so much, it was maintenance and then pricing. So, having quick responses, having, rentals, repairs that are getting done quickly and efficiently will save you a lot of money, because it will keep your tenant retention longer. You found that correct?
It is, and it's getting even more so, Paul, because you've got so many young people who are moving either out of their home, their family home, or they're moving out of an apartment into a house, and they're seeing things they're not at all familiar with. It's like you said, somebody who's coming from their family home, or somebody who's coming from an apartment to a house, they might call you by light bulb, right? Because they don't have any understanding of what their responsibilities are, what they're supposed to be doing. But when you educate them, they're usually very responsive, and they just don't know. They don't know about those GFI issues. Nobody wants to sit around and wait for a repair vendor to come to their house if they don't have to. They're going to be very accommodating to, oh, okay, do that. Yeah, let me try that and see if that works. So that's becoming more of an issue. But if it is an issue that needs to get dispatched, yeah, they have very high expectations for how that's going to get handled, because when they're at home, they didn't have to worry about that. If they lived in an apartment, now they're going to a house. The apartment had on-site maintenance that just came over and fixed it right away. I think there is going to be a higher expectation for tenants of single-family homes. You also have higher-end single-family home tenants now than maybe we're used to, because 20 years ago, if you could afford it, you bought a house. Now a lot of people are voluntary renters. They're not trying to buy a house there, and they have very high expectations of how that house is going to get taken care of.
Yeah, and if you're paying like $3,000-$4,000 a month, your expectations are a lot higher than when you're paying $1,500 or something like that. So yeah, we definitely have a lot higher. And the other thing is, by having 24-hour maintenance, it's something that you can add to a benefits package. Hey, this is a benefit we give, but we are responsive 7 days a week. We're responsive at 2 a.m. And let's say you have 50 doors. Getting woken up at 2 a.m, even if it's once a month, is, it's not a way that's fun for you as an owner. So it's nice as an owner to start to get your life back.
It's like, you talked about going hiking. When I had my property management company, years ago now, but we were in Colorado Springs. Couldn't go hiking. I loved to go hiking. I couldn't go hiking because I couldn't get out of cell phone range, because I didn't know when that next water emergency was going to come into my cell phone. So until we got big enough that I could hire people, it was impossible to manage. But then when we were big enough to hire people, we're passing around this cell phone that nobody wants to have be on call for. And you just got to be available, because even if you've only got 50 doors, you don't know when that call's coming in, and you got to be available for it. Are you going to the movies and sitting offline for 2 hours, and there might be a pipe burst at one of your properties? It's really stressful as a property manager if you're trying to handle that yourself. So we solved that problem for property managers. That specific problem follows why I started EZ Repair. I sold my property management company because that was a problem that needed to get solved. It wasn't being solved by very many companies back then. Obviously, we've got a lot of people in the space now, but this is 2015, and it really wasn't being addressed. So that's why we started EZ Repair.
Property management's a great business, but without vendors and people helping you out, it can become very daunting. You almost want to leave because you don't have a life. So with the right vendors, you can have it as a business that is running on its own, and that you are basically managing during working hours, during other things. It can become fun once you can, be an owner and not an employee.
Yeah, I worked for AAA, the Auto Club, for 20 years before I became property manager. I was an executive for AAA. And even at that role as an executive, AAA was all about work-life balance. I was home before dinner every night. I didn't work at all on Saturday and Sunday unless there was some project going on. And it was just a very structured job, and it was great. And I became a property manager, and I couldn't believe the expectations of what a property manager is supposed to do and when they're supposed to be available and how they're supposed to work. And that's why we build EZ Repair. EZ Repair doesn't solve all those issues, but if you look at all of the different vendors that are in the space, Paul, you can definitely create your normal work-life balance as a property manager. But you have to use the vendors. You got to use the tools to make that happen. Build yourself a 9-to-5 job. Build yourself a 4-day week or whatever you want to build, because you can do that. All the tools are out there for property managers now.
I agree. Thank you so much, Andy. Andy will be at the conference. You want to get your tickets. You want to be at this conference. We have 12 rooms of instruction going on at the same time. If you can't, the biggest complaint I get from this conference is there was too many options, too many choices, and I missed things I wanted to see. That's a complaint I can live with. I want you to go to this. You're going to find we have maintenance rooms. We have AI rooms. We have how to grow your company. We have all these different things. We have which Andy, this will be new this year. We have a Genius Bar where people will be able to go and schedule 30-minute increments with companies like yours and other companies and get technical help and see how the technology works and be able to figure out whether it's EZ Repair Hotline or Lead Simple or RentFind or any of these companies. You're going to get one-on-one help with these vendors to improve your technology, improve your skills. And people like Andy, they're going to help you out even if you're not using their product, because you're going to want to at some point, but they're going to help you out, tell you what they can do, but they're also going to show you some benefits that you can do technology-wise that they're learning themselves.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.